The story of Saint Paulinus of Nola.
Subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this.
Let me take you back to the 4th century, to a time when the Roman Empire was still powerful, but beginning to crack. A time of wealth, politics, and social climbing. And in the middle of it all was a man named Paulinus. Born into luxury, power, and privilege, he had it all. But what he chose to do with his life, that's what makes this story unforgettable. Paulinus was born around the year 354 in Bordeaux, in what we now call France. His family was incredibly wealthy, old Roman nobility. He received the best education, studying literature, law, and rhetoric. Basically the tools for any rising star in Roman politics. And rise he did. By his mid-30s, Paulinus had already served as a Roman senator and even became governor of a region in Italy. He was young, brilliant, charming, and incredibly well-connected. People looked at him and said, "This man is destined for greatness." But here's the twist. Paulinus wasn't satisfied. Despite all the honors, the applause, and the comfort, Paulinus felt something was missing, a restlessness in his soul. You see, during his time in Italy, Paulinus encountered something, or rather, someone, who would change his life forever. It wasn't a famous philosopher. It wasn't a powerful general. It was a humble Christian bishop named Ambrose. And through him, and through the writings of another man, St. Augustine, Paulinus began to hear something deeper calling out to him. Faith, real faith, not just tradition or religion as a part of Roman life, but something alive, something personal. And so, at around 38 years old, Paulinus made a radical choice. He was baptized into the Christian faith, and it shocked everyone. Friends, family, the Roman elite, they couldn't believe it. How could a man with everything give it all up for a quiet, humble life of faith? But Paulinus didn't stop there. Shortly after his baptism, tragedy struck. His young son, his only child, died. It broke his heart. But instead of falling into despair, Paulinus made an even bolder move. He and his wife, Theresia, decided to give away their entire fortune, all of it. They freed their slaves, they sold their estates, and they moved to a small town in southern Italy, a place called Nola. Why Nola? Because Nola was home to the tomb of Saint Felix, a humble priest and martyr whom Paulinus deeply admired. There, Paulinus and Theresia began a completely different kind of life, a life of prayer, service, and simplicity. They lived like monks, welcoming the poor, feeding the hungry, and caring for the sick. People started to take notice. This wasn't a politician playing saint. This was the real deal. So, when the Bishop of Nola passed away, the people made a bold request. They begged Paulinus, this former senator and aristocrat, to become their bishop. And though he felt unworthy, he said yes. As bishop, Paulinus became a shepherd to his people. He preached not with lofty words, but with compassion and humility. He wrote letters and poems, many of which still survive today, that encouraged people to love deeply, give generously, and trust in God. He built churches. He welcomed pilgrims. And he never stopped honoring St. Felix, whom he called his friend and protector. But Paulinus' story doesn't end with peace and comfort. Years later, something dramatic happened. The Roman Empire was falling apart. Barbarian tribes, like the Goths and Vandals, were invading cities. One day, a widow from Nola came to Paulinus in tears. Her only son had been taken captive by invaders and sold into slavery. She had no money, no way to free him. She was desperate. And Paulinus, already an old man by this time, did something few would dare. He volunteered to take the boy's place. That's right. He offered himself as a slave in exchange for the widow's son. No one forced him. He simply said, "How can I preach sacrifice if I'm not willing to live it?" And so, according to tradition, Paulinus was taken away, serving in hard labor, a former nobleman, now a slave. Eventually, the story goes, the ruler who had taken him discovered who Paulinus was, and, amazed by his courage and humility, released him and the boy both. Whether every detail is historically exact or not, the message is clear. Paulinus was a man who didn't just talk about love, he lived it. St. Paulinus of Nola died around the year 431. But his legacy lived on, not in palaces or monuments, but in the hearts of the people he served, in the words he wrote, in the poor he fed, in the example he left behind. He reminds us that no life is too comfortable, too privileged, or too important to be changed by love. He reminds us that the greatest title isn't governor or senator, but servant. So the next time you wonder if one life can make a difference, remember Paulinus, a man who had everything and gave it all away, not for glory, not for praise, but for God and for love.